بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. وأهلا وسهلا بكم في هذه الليلة التي تقدم فيها جامعة الملك فهد للبترول والمعادن ضمن فعاليات احتفالية الجامعة بمرور 50 عاما على إنشائها. تستضيف الجامعة اليوم البروفيسور محمد يونس الحائز على جائزة نوبل للسلام. I will give a brief introduction about Professor Yunus in Arabic, so we apologize, and then after that, he will continue with the lecture. ولد البروفيسور محمد يونس في بنغلاديش في عام 1940 للميلاد، وهو قد حصل على شهادة الدكتوراه في الاقتصاد في العام 1969 ميلادية، وعاد إلى بنغلاديش في عام 1972 ميلادية، حيث عمل محاضرا بالجامعة. وفي عام 1976 للميلاد بدأ الدكتور يونس تقديم قروض خالية من الضمانات للفقراء في إطار مشروع بنك جرامين الذي أصبح في وقت لاحق أحد البنوك المتكاملة لتقديم القروض للفقراء خاصة للنساء في المناطق الريفية المختلفة. قد تجاوز عدد المقترضين من بنك جرامين في الوقت الحالي 8.4 مليون مقترض، 97% منهم من النساء. وبناء على ذلك منح الدكتور يونس جائزة نوبل للسلام عام 2006 بالمشاركة مع بنك جرامين. وقد نشرت أفكاره في جميع أنحاء العالم، وقد تبنى كثير من المؤسسات والبنوك فكرة الدكتور محمد يونس، وطبقت في أنحاء العالم، وكانت أيضا كذلك في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية. حصل الأستاذ الدكتور محمد يونس على أكثر من 50 درجة فخرية من العديد من الجامعات في حوالي 20 دولة، كما حصل على 112 جائزة من 26 دولة، جوائز تكريمية منها 10 جوائز. ويرأس الدكتور يونس العديد من مجالس المؤسسات الرائدة مثل مؤسسة الأمم المتحدة ومؤسسة شواب ومؤسسة الأمير ألبرت الثاني ومؤسسة جرامين بانك وغيرها من المؤسسات الكبيرة والصغيرة المانحة وغير الربحية والحكومية. Please welcome with me Professor Yunus. رحبوا معي بالدكتور يونس. I will ask him to start his lecture.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Well, good evening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Well, I'm very honored to be here this evening, particularly being invited by the King Fahd University of Petroleum and Minerals. I had no idea what a magnificent university that is until I have come here today. So I'm very, very honored that I could be with you for a few hours and kind of share with you all the things that happened to me. From my kind of background, I come from the university background, and that's what I always wanted to be, a teacher. Each one has some kind of a preference of what they want to do in their life, and my preference was that I'll be a teacher. But I became, and I was teaching after I did my master's. I was teaching in a college. Then I got the Fulbright scholarship to go to the USA. I did my PhD, then started teaching again, teaching in one of the US universities. And something brought me back to Bangladesh immediately, because Bangladesh became an independent country, breaking away from Pakistan after a terrible war. And I came back. So that's when all the things that started happening when I came back to Bangladesh. I see the terrible poverty, and particularly it became much more ugly when a famine started in Bangladesh in 1974. People were dying of hunger. For a young teacher, just coming back from the United States with a brand new PhD, who thought he had all the answers to all the problems there can be in economics. But he sees all these terrible things right next to the campus, and he has absolutely nothing he can offer. So it's a very frustrating experience. But that's a long story. What led me from that interaction with the people in the village was one thing, that lending money is such an important thing for people to have a small amount of money. And I created something without knowing anything about it. And it worked. And that became known as microcredit or microfinance. And I created a bank called Grameen Bank, or a village bank, out of that, to spread it all over the country. And I did it all over the country. Right now, Grameen Bank, the village bank, has over 8.4 million borrowers. So almost 8.4 million families attached to it. And most of our borrowers are women. Very destitute women when she joins Grameen Bank and gradually changes her life, taking small loans and transforming herself into an active person, creative person, and a confident person. Now she feels that she's in the driver's seat of her own life. It's not easy to be a woman in a society like Bangladesh. All the terrible things in the society are pushed into the direction of the women. So she suffers through all that. And it's not get her into the program that we created, lending money. She's so scared. She doesn't want to come anywhere near us. When we try to explain to her that it's important that if you can take some money and start some work for yourself and have an income, that will help you. She says, no, don't give the money to me. Give money to my husband. So it's a very disappointing thing. Here we are trying to address the women, but the woman says, not me, you give it to the husband. Why did I go to women to begin with? I could have given it to the man as it is. I went to the woman because I created a big controversy with the banks. I was saying banks are absolutely wrong. It's a funny organization that you built. The reason I say that because I wanted to persuade them to lend money to the poor people. They refused. Then I'm accusing them. Two accusations. One, you don't lend money to the people who don't have money. I said, this is very funny. I thought banks are created to lend money, and the most logical thing for banks would be to give money to people who don't have money. And you do the reverse. You give money to people who already have lots of money. I said, it doesn't make sense to me. It is totally illogical. The second point I was making, not only you don't give money to women, you don't give money to the poor people, you don't give money to women. They said, why? We give it. I said, no, you don't. If you look at the statistics in Bangladesh, if you combine all the borrowers of all the banks, you will not find 1% of the borrowers, even 1% of the borrowers happen to be women. I said, something is wrong with you. So when I began, I wanted to make sure half the borrowers in my program are women. This is coming from the controversy that I created myself. Then I go to women. Women says, no, don't give it to me, give it to the husband. So I find it very strange that here I'm trying to bring money and give loan to women. They refuse. Students who were helping me, I was always working with my students, going to the village and working. They are also very frustrated because I was insisting that half the borrower must be women. And women don't care. So when they are saying, forget it, don't go to the woman, go to the man because they are the one who wants the money. I said, no, we must concentrate on women. When a woman says, sorry, I can't take the money because I don't know how to use the money. I'm afraid of money. Always remember, this is not her voice. This is the voice of the history which made her. So our job would be to build confidence in her. Go back again and again so that gradually we peel off all the fears that society has created around her. So that someday the real person will come up and say, maybe I should try. And if one of them tries and becomes successful, then every other neighboring woman say, maybe I should try that too. And they try, and other women will come into it. It took us 6 years to come to the 50-50 level. But we are very happy that finally we achieved it. Then we saw money going to the family through women brought so much more benefit to the family. Then we changed our policy. So forget about 50-50. If it is better result going to the family through women, why don't we just go to the family through women? Forget about men. So we started focusing on women. As a result, we became 97% women. And the bank is owned by the borrowers. So we have a very interesting bank. A bank which works for the poor people only, and it's a poor women, and it's owned by poor women. So that's what the Grameen Bank is. How did they create it? This is one common question always I'm asked by journalists, by everybody else, and also the university campuses. Best thing that happened, I could make this bank possible. And my answer is always the same. I said the best thing that happened to me in creating this bank, by looking back, I didn't know anything about banking. So that was a big help. If I knew about banking, I wouldn't be able to do this. Because at every step everybody will say, oh no, you can't do that. Since I didn't know anything about it, I went ahead and did whatever I felt was right. And as a result, this is what they have done. So again, the young people, I try to explain, knowing always doesn't mean that you are in the right track. Not knowing is not sometimes it's not a curse. It may be a blessing. Because instead of knowing the wrong thing, it's better not to know it and be free and create something on your own. And I thought not knowing banking was such an important thing for me that I could jump into unknown and struggle with it in my own way. I create my own logic and created that. And people say, what is the big deal about lending money to the poor people? Big banks give big money, your bank gives little money. That's it. And the name microcredit also confuses people. Microcredit means a small credit. So most likely Grameen Bank gives small loan. I said it's not that easy. Because if I look at all the procedures, all the techniques that I have created in lending the money to the poor people, you will see it's a very intricate system. And how did you do that? How did you create a system? It works. I said, well, it was for me, it was very easy. It's not a complicated thing. Whenever I needed a procedure, when I needed methods, how to do that, and I'm in confusion, I don't know what next to be done, what I do, I look at the conventional banks, how they do it. After all, they have been doing this business for a long time. And I look at the banks and I learn what they do. Once I learn what they do, I do exactly the opposite. And it worked. It's a serious thing. Conventional banks go to the rich, probably richest. The richer you are, happy they are. I reversed it. I go to the poor. Poorer you are, happier we are. We're always looking for the poorest. That's the way we train our staff. We are not working for the poor people. We are working for the poorest people. Always find the poorest person. That's your job. So they have to do a very intricate procedure, how to find up the poorest person. A poor person comes and said, give me the money, I want to take a loan. We said, well, can you help me to find out someone not as lucky as you are, worse than you are? She said, yeah, I know the one which is terrible. She's much worse than I am. So let's go and find her. So she becomes my guide, helps me to find poorer than herself. And then I go and talk to her. Can you find someone who is not as good as you are, worse than you? No, she says, yeah, there's one. She doesn't even have a house, doesn't have any place to live. She lives in somebody else's space. I said, tell me, let me do that. So always trying to find to the still lowest one. So we reverse the principle. You don't notice it, but that's what we do. Conventional banks ask for collateral. Without collateral, conventional banks don't work. You have to show how much wealth you have. You own it. You have the documents. And then they will talk to you. We made the reverse. We said, since we work for the poorest, they don't have anything. Why ask for anything? Forget about the collateral. So we forgot about the collateral. In the entire microcredit program, there is nothing called collateral. And we give money. Today, Grameen Bank gives out over $1.5 billion annually. No papers. No legal instrument. It's all based on trust. You see, the word credit means trust. I tell the bankers, I said, look, you took the word credit, which means trust, and built a whole institution based on distrust. We went back to the original word and built an institution as it should have been. Since we don't have collateral, we don't have any legal papers. Since we don't have any legal papers, we don't have any lawyers. Grameen Bank is the only bank in the world which is lawyer-free. We have no lawyers. So if you reverse something, suddenly it works something that you always thought cannot be done. So reversing doesn't necessarily mean you are destroying it. And Grameen Bank is a case. Everything we do is reversed. In a conventional bank, you are all familiar with conventional banks. When you go to ask for a loan, the manager will always ask what experience you have in this business. You have to show so many evidence how much experience you have. Documents and experiences, narrations, to convince that you know everything about the business. We reversed it in Grameen Bank. When we go to the woman, she said, no, I don't know anything about business. I never touched money in my life. I am afraid of money. Did we run away from her? We tell our staff, go, she's the person we are looking for. You found it. Work with her. Build confidence in her. Someday she will have that confidence to say, maybe I should take some money. And she will ask for a very little money. $20, $30, that's about what she asked for. When she is very courageous. So not knowing that I don't know business doesn't disqualify her. Said everyone has to start someplace. You have to give the opportunity for somebody to start. If you don't get that start, how will she go? You're always going to people who already gone all this distance. Then that's not a good institution for human beings. So we go to the people who says, I don't know anything. He said, don't worry, you'll learn together. Let's go it together. And that's how she finally takes it. When she holds his first loan of $30 or $35, you think she's very happy holding this money? She is scared to death. She's shaking. She cannot believe that anybody has given her such an enormous amount of money. She has never seen such an amount of money. Forget about holding it. Now she's holding it. She shakes. Tears roll down her eyes, not believing that somebody could trust her with such an enormous amount of money, $35. And she promises to herself, if anybody has trusted her with so much money, she will give her life to make sure that trust is kept. She doesn't break that trust. And that's how her life begins in Grameen Bank. If you multiply this experience 8.4 million times, then you start understanding what Grameen Bank is all about. One of our job in Grameen Bank is we encourage every single Grameen Bank family to send the children to school. Have you ever heard a bank asking your children whether they go to school? No. But we do. We are not only interested in giving money, we are interested in their life, what the life would bring to her, how she can struggle with that life, so that she will have a better life tomorrow than what it is today. So that's why we're so interested in every child she has, making sure they go to school. Because she never went to school. She never had the opportunity to go to school. Her husband never went to school. In the entire history of her family, all the way down, nobody went to school. So we want to make a break, that from now on, every child in these families will go to school. And they have done that. So Grameen Banks mean all the children are in school, and they are moving into the steps of the schools, and then come to the college, which is expensive. So we give them education loan, so that they don't step out. So it's continue. Just because they are poor doesn't mean they're incapable people. They are as capable as anybody else. There is no difference. All human beings are kind of packed with unlimited creative power, unlimited kind of ability to do things in their life. But most of these people never get the opportunity to discover that. That's the unfortunate thing about our society that we created. So we wanted to help them to discover themselves by going into schools and so on. So today we have very interesting kind of scenario in the villages. When I go to the villages, meet these Grameen Bank families, I see the mother and the daughter. The daughter looks just like the mother. Just in any family, mother and daughter looks alike. Daughter is younger, mother is a little older. And she is going around with her. And you think probably she does the same thing mother does. You talk to her, what are you doing? You're helping your mother? Say, no, I'm a doctor. I practice in the nearby town. Now that you came to our village, I wanted to meet you. I never saw you before in my life. So I wanted to shake hands with you. Suddenly it comes to your mind, although they look alike, there's something between them. Then you realize the daughter is a doctor. Mother could have been a doctor too. There is nothing lacking in her mother, but she's illiterate. Why? Who ordered that she will be an illiterate person? That's a big question. If she had the same opportunity like her daughter did, she would have been a doctor, she would have been an engineer, she could have been anything. Because there is no difference between her and her daughter. Only difference in the opportunities it provided. Her mother, in her childhood, never had something called Grameen Bank. But her daughter had this opportunity. The banks helped you to go to school and made sure you didn't have to drop out because your family doesn't have enough money to send you to school or medical school, because the bank said, don't worry, you continue. So that's the difference. Now thousands and thousands of these young people are professional people, doctors, engineers. And I was speaking in one university in USA, in Florida, and I was telling this about what's happening with education loan. I said, someday I'll find these young people doing their PhDs and so on in your campuses too. After the lecture, someone comes back. I said, you said someday it will happen? I am the one, I'm already here. So now I meet people, young people, being professors, lecturers, PhD students, all coming from that background. Parents are illiterate, Grameen Bank send the child, give an education loan. Now, because ability-wise there is no difference. I express my experience in a particular way, and I say that poverty is not created by poor people. There is nothing wrong in the poor people. They are as good as any other human being. Poverty is created by the system that we built, which denies opportunity to people. That's what the cause of poverty. And to make it more explicit, I give the example of bonsai. Bonsai tree, you take the seed of the tallest tree in the forest and put it in a flower pot to grow. It grows only this big. It looks cute. And we call it bonsai. Is there something wrong with the seed? Why didn't it grow? There's nothing wrong with the seed. Simply we didn't give the seed enough space to grow. That's why it became stunted, little tree. So I said, poor people are bonsai people. There's nothing wrong with their seeds. Simply society never gave them the space so that they can be as tall as anybody else. Potential-wise, they could be anybody. So it's not the fault of the seed, fault of the person. I said, take the case of a child who is born on the street. There are many children born on the street. And then compare the child born in a palace of a king. And by some magic, on the very birth, you exchange those two children. The born in the palace comes to the street, and the born on the street ends up in the palace. Nobody knows about it. Wait for 18 years, 19 years, 20 years. See what happens. The child who is grown up on the street, but born in the palace, he doesn't know, is a criminal. The child who is born on the street, but ended up in the palace, he doesn't know, he's a prince. You go there, you bow him, he tells you all the wise things that any young people would like to talk about, and he's just as princely as anybody could be. So it is not inside the person, it's where one grows up, under what circumstances. That makes all the difference. So I said, who told the banks that you cannot lend money to the poor people? And as a result, they have denied access to this facility throughout the world. Almost 2/3 of the world population have no access to banking. So it remained a kind of privileged clubs of already privileged people. I keep saying that if you do not have the first dollar in your hand, you cannot catch the next dollar. You need a dollar to catch a dollar. But nobody gives you the first dollar. Only thing you have who will give you the first dollar is a loan shark. And loan shark makes sure every bit of the income, every bit of the benefit you get out of the dollar, he takes away everything. He doesn't leave anything for you. Because financial institution refuses to give it to you. They said poor people are not creditworthy. And I keep asking, is this the right thing to say? Banks telling people that they are not creditworthy? Shouldn't be it would be other way? People telling the banks that you are not people worthy? So that's the question. Who tells what? To whom? Now banks are telling the people that you are no good. It should have been the other way. People should be telling them, you are no good. You're not good for us. That's what the answer should be. Now, after 35 years of Grameen Bank microcredit running all around the world, in Saudi Arabia, in New York City, or any other city in the USA, it's working beautifully. Including all the third world countries around the world. Every single country now have microcredit. Why can't the bank now extend it? Can they still say that poor people are not creditworthy after demonstrating again and again how good they are? So that's the fault of the system. We created institutions which are not good for people. And then we blame the people. Then I say concepts are wrong. We created the concept of economics, what we call the capitalist system. It's very strange the way we created the capitalist system. In the capitalist system, you have the business is the core of the capitalist system. And business means business to make money. There is no other kind of business. You go to business, make money. The more money you make, more successful the business is. So everybody, all the young people in the universities, everywhere in the school, they're learning how to grow up and join businesses and make money, or work for a company which is making money to help them make more money. There is no other game in town. Only thing is business. I say it doesn't sound right to me. First of all, I feel that human beings are not robots. The capitalist system almost converted into robots. All we do is chase money. So we became money chasers. We're always chasing money. And it has become an obsession for us to chase money, because we don't know anything else. I said, to begin with, human beings are multidimensional. That aspect is not included in economic theory, and that's where it went wrong. When people say, oh, we have a financial crisis, we have a food crisis, we have energy crisis, we have environmental crisis, I said, you go on listing all the crises, then what? What are you telling? I said, for the first thing, these crises are not separate crises, one here, one there, one here. These are all expressions, manifestations of the same crisis. Only they are expressing itself in different ways. What is the central crisis? Central crisis is the fundamental flaw in the way we have designed the architecture of our conceptual framework. That's where we are wrong. The basic thing that is wrong is the interpretation of human being within that conceptual framework. This is a very tourniqueted kind of very squeezed out human being into the conceptual framework. The guy in that conceptual framework works only like a repetitive person, work for money. Human beings are not only selfish, they're also selfless. But the selfless aspect is never included in economic theory. So we all became practitioner of selfish ambitions. All we do make money. I said, I understand making money. I'm not discarding making money. It's very important to make money. I make money in $1,000, fine. I make money hundreds of thousands, fine. I make millions of dollars to do what? Billions of dollars to do what? And then I end up my life after made those billions and millions, whatever I did. I said, I understand making money as a means, which is very clear. But I don't understand making money as an end. End has to be something different. And there is no end. In a capitalist system, making money is the means, making money is the end. They say, no, there's not the end. You can become a philanthropist. You give away your money. But within economic system, you have to keep on making money. So you have to step outside the economic system to become a philanthropist. I said, that doesn't sound right to me. I want to express myself fully within the economic system, not outside the economic system. And then I said, philanthropy has a limitation. Limitation is money goes out, it never comes back. It does the job, it's a wonderful job, but it doesn't come back. It has a limitation. If I could bring it down within the business world, if I could create a business to solve a problem without making money for myself, and then I can use the money again and again and solve more and more of the problem. And I designed and created many such companies, problem-solving companies. And I started calling them social business. Business to solve problems. And in that, the money that goes out in the social business comes back. And you can send it back again. It does all the time, is running, doing the work. So you have a self-propelling system. Self-sustaining system. It never ends. It continues to do the same work again and again. So part of that philanthropy money could easily go into social business so that it can continue to work and work and work. So it has an unlimited life. So I said, if we had created a capitalist system with two kinds of business, one is money-making business, another is social business, side by side. It's not one against the other. It's a parallel system. Then we could have solved many of the problems. And then I said, look at the businesses. They organize themselves so well to get their things done. They are very focused in their objectives. And they pursue it very well. But always the pursuit is to make money. Then they have an enormous technology. Today technology is moving faster and faster, growing bigger and bigger. And this university is a technology university. You are very familiar with how fast the technology is expanding. And as every day goes, it is the fastest that ever happened in the past. And the next day it will be still faster. That's the technology speed. And the world has so much technology right now in every different directions. What do we do with this technology? The world is so lucky to have all this technology. But what do we do with this technology? All this technology belongs to companies, belongs to businesses. And what do the businesses do with this technology? They want to make more money. Imagine if we could use this technology to solve problems. Problem of poverty, problem of healthcare, problem of housing, problem of water, we name it. If we could use this technology to solve this problem, all these problems will disappear in no time. But we don't. Because this is a compartmentalized world. We keep the technology for this use, the other, we bring the philanthropists, we bring the government to solve the problem. And we don't want to get involved with the problem because we are busy making money. And we frequently use a statement like, well, business is business. Meaning that we have no time to consider other things. We are supposed to focus our attention on making money. We don't have to be like that. We can create business both ways. These thoughts came later on. I already started doing that without knowing about it. In Bangladesh, when I was doing all this microcredit, Grameen Bank and so on, I keep seeing all these problems coming to me. And every time I see a problem, instinctively I create a business to solve it. First problem I saw along with the microcredit, I go to the families of these borrowers, extremely poor. There's something very pathetic about their children. They cannot see in the evening after the sun goes down. They become blind. I had no idea that something like that happened to these young little kids going blind after sunset. They are totally blind. So I was worried what is happening here. So I talked to the doctors, I talked to the experts on healthcare. They all said, well, this is very prevalent among the poor people. It's called night blindness. Exactly what it is. At night you don't see, it's a night blindness. Why does it happen? Is it something incurable? No, it's very simple to cure. What do you do? Only simple thing is a vitamin A deficiency. If you give them the vitamin A, soon the whole thing will be over. How do you get vitamin A? Vitamin A, you get the tablet. Or you can ask them to eat vegetables. Vegetables have plenty of vitamin A. So I took the vitamin A from vegetable. So I said, I'll promote the vegetables. So I started promoting vegetables among the Grameen Bank families. You must feed your children with vegetables so that they don't have to suffer through that. And soon there were families were saying, we'd like to do that, but we don't have the seed. Can't find seed anyplace. Then idea came to me, why don't I bring the seed to them so that they cannot explain that I don't have the seed. So I made 1 penny packet of all seeds. Each seed, 1 penny, 1 packet. I started selling them to cover all the cost. So whatever seed I buy, I have to recover all the money that I have spent on the seeds and the packaging and so on. But people loved it. The more Grameen Bank expanded, more seeds we started selling. So seed became an additional business for us. And soon we found out we became the largest seed seller in the country. Probably the young people from Bangladesh today don't even know what night blindness is. It's disappeared. It doesn't exist. So did it need a big government effort to do that? Is it not a simple thing? But we don't do that simple things. Lending money to the poor people is a simple thing. But we don't do that. Why? I don't understand. So that's why the concept of social business comes. We can create a business to solve problems so that we can start looking at this problem and design business. And then, one of the killer in Bangladesh, killer for the women, is the stove in which she cooks. That stove kills women. One of the major reasons of women's death in Bangladesh is the respiratory diseases coming from the smoke that she inhales all the time cooking. She's all the time busy cooking. And our kitchen in Bangladesh is the worst part of the house because women work there. In your house, in everybody's house, is the front room where the guests come. That's the best part. And then you enter, that's the worst part. That's where the women live. And this is one. This is stingy little room, all blocked, and she has to cook all the time. She's inhaling all the time. And that creates respiratory, and that becomes one of the major cause of women death. Now, scientists have designed beautiful stoves. Very simple stove. If she can replace it with this new stove for getting away from the old stove, she'll be saved. Her children will be saved. But nobody does that. I said, why can't we create a business to sell this stove to them so that it becomes a social business? And we can publicize, we can go use all the business technique. All we are doing, make sure she changes that. So we created a company to sell these stoves. And everybody's buying it. But why didn't we do it before? We don't know. And this is not, you don't need a doctor. This is day-to-day thing. And then not only you save yourself, the design of this stove, I'm sure you can design a much better one, the one that we have in Bangladesh, saves fuel wood. You see, continuously pushing fuel wood into the stove so that you can get the heat. And most of the heat is wasted. So the moment you get into the improved stove, all the heat of the fuel wood is contained in your pot so that nothing is wasted. So you need much less fuel wood, at least 50% less fuel wood than before. So it's an economic proposition too, because you spend money for this or time for this, for collecting fuel wood. But nobody does that. Why don't we do that? Why don't we create social business to make sure every family has a new stove? And some say, oh, they're too poor to pay. I said, there's nothing called too poor to pay. Grameen Bank has shown that. They can pay because they save money. It's all question of how quickly you want to get the money back or how long you give her to pay. If she's paying 1 penny, 1 taka, something small amount per week, she'll pay it back. As long as it makes sense that I'm saving money, I'm doing this. So this is how it works. We created other social businesses like solar system, solar home system. In the beginning, so difficult to sell them. 16 years back, we created this company, solar company. Now we have completed 1 million solar homes in Bangladesh. They have their own power. Because we created a company, make sure you have a good electricity, you can run your television, your lights, your telephones, whatever you need. So this is another example of social business. Social business is non-dividend company to solve problems. This is a problem. We solve a problem by creating a company. And people love to pay for it because it helps them, because they don't have to pay for the kerosene. Solar panel cost is going down. I'm sure this university pays a lot of attention to it, solar panel, because if more research comes, it will go still down, how to make it cheaper and cheaper. So the solar panel cost is going down. Oil price is going up. Kerosene is from the oil. So now it's becoming a very good economic proposition. Forget about kerosene, because kerosene gives again the fume and all those things all over your house, suits and everything. Now you have a clean electricity. Then comes the LED lamps. With LED lamps, the little bit of electricity, you got a lot of power. And we are producing LED lamps as a social business, so that we don't have to charge people any extra thing, so that you just pay for what you get. And it's a very simple thing to make LED lamps. We do it in the villages. Employ the young girls to make those LED lamps. You got a good brand name, packaging it and selling it all over. That's a social business. So one by one you can address that. Then we have big companies coming to do joint venture with us as a social business. So we created joint venture with Danone to produce yogurt to solve the problem of malnutrition among the children of Bangladesh. Half the children of Bangladesh are malnourished. What do? Sit around, watch them get stunted, not having enough intelligence because they don't have the macronutrients they are supposed to have. So we thought, why don't we try our way? We created this special kind of yogurt, put all the macronutrients which are missing in the children into the yogurt, made it so that everybody can afford, made it very delicious so the children love it. And now we sell it, everybody loves it. And now all the reports that the researchers are giving us, that the health condition of those children who are eating this yogurt is drastically changing, because the effect of the impact of those yogurt is making it happen. So that's the social business, because Danone has agreed they will never take any dividend out of this company. So that company is created just to solve the problem. I was invited by another company, Adidas. Everybody knows Adidas, because it's a big shoe sports company and so on. So I had no idea what they are, how big they are, until I get to their headquarters. The CEO of Adidas started conversation with me, saying that we want to do some social business. Tell us how to do that. We're not very clear how we should do that. Dr. Yunus, who is the CEO, I tell him, look, it's very simple. I said, well, all you have to do is to create a separate company. Adidas social business, something like that. You give it a name. This is a separate company. The reason you have to make a separate company, because this company will never give dividend to its shareholders. So they must know that this is what it's doing. And then what? I said, then you create a mission statement for this company. What is this for, after all? Your mission statement should tell what problem you want to solve. In social business, you have to have a problem to solve. I said, what kind of mission statement can we have? I said, maybe something like this. Nobody in the world should go without shoes. As a shoe company, it's our responsibility to make shoes affordable to even to the poorest person. So he looks at me and looks at me with big eyes. He said, that's a big goal. And I looked at him, I said, I thought Adidas is a big company. I said, why do you want a small goal? Do you think it will fit to your company if I have a small goal for you? Then he realized, he said, okay, I got it. He said, can I talk to my colleagues about it? I said, feel free. I'm just giving you an idea. See if it fits into your thing. So he took 3 hours talking to his top management people. Very intensive discussion whether they would like to do such a thing. After 3 hours, it's about lunchtime, so we all gathered together in the lunch table. So he whispers in my ears, said, my colleagues have asked me to ask you how cheap the shoe should be in order to be affordable to the poorest people. I'm eating, I said, maybe under €1. He again looks at me. He said, you are a very difficult man. I said, no, I'm not difficult. We are addressing a very difficult situation. That's what we are trying to do. Yeah, okay, I'll finish. So this is what we are trying to do. And he had another 2 hours of discussion with his colleagues. And ultimately gathered together, announced that we are going to take this challenge. You challenged us, we'll take this challenge. But we want to make it very clear, we can't assure you that shoe would be sold under €1. But we'll come as close as humanly possible. I said, that's an excellent thing. That's all I want. I had no idea whether it's €1 or €0.5. But you keep trying to push yourself all the way down so that it's affordable to everybody. They worked 2 years to design that shoe and bring the cost down. Because I said, I don't want charity shoe. Meaning it costs you €5 and you sell it for €1, €4 is subsidy. I said, I don't want subsidized. Then it doesn't go very far. It will stop. I want real cost. Should be under €1 and you sell it under €1. And after 2 years they produced it, everybody loved it, we did the test marketing, now they are going into a big way to sell this €1, under €1 shoes. So again, you have to press yourself to get things done because it was never done before. Just because it was not done before doesn't mean it cannot be done. I was recently in Haiti. I was very annoyed the way Haiti situation is being handled by the donors, all pouring in money for Haiti. I said, this money will be wasted and money will be in the pocket very soon. I said, donors should create a social business fund, puts part of the money into that fund so that they can use this money for creating businesses in Haiti. Haiti doesn't have any business. Haiti imports everything. Haiti imports salt. It's an island country. It's all surrounded by ocean, but they import salt. It's an island country. They import fish. They import fish as far as from China. I said, all I understood from history that if you are an island country, the first profession you have, you become fisherman. Now you reverse. You are importing fish. You don't have any fish. You don't catch any fish. It's right here. So it goes on and on. And the one thing, and for each one, now we have already created a social business fund for Haiti. And we are creating one after another social businesses for salt making, chicken producing, because they import all the chickens from the Dominican Republic, the neighboring country. They don't produce anything. I say you have to produce your own chicken. And then export it to Dominican Republic. That's your goal. You have to do that. The one that I wanted to mention, this island is shared by 2 countries. One is Dominican Republic on one side, on the eastern side, western side is Haiti. If you fly over, you see green as you come from the east to the west. As long as you see green underneath, you know you are in still Dominican Republic. The moment it becomes barren, you know you have entered Haiti. The entire Haiti is barren. It used to be as green as Dominican Republic. But the Haiti part, today they have less than 2% forest coverage. What happened to the forest? They just chopped it off for cooking. They make charcoal out of it. And charcoal, what do you get? You go and chop off and you make charcoal and eat. So in the eating, they ate up the whole forest. So I said, no, this is not going to, because this 2% forest coverage will disappear in the next 5 years. Then you have nothing. I said, why don't we have a social business to build a forest? People say, oh, this is a big job. I said, yeah, big job. But social business can be big too. Doesn't have to be always small. We can start small, gradually grow. So I talked to some people, big business people, and one of the big business guy, not in Haiti, international big business guy, I met him in a conference. I proposed to him, why don't we create forest for Haiti as a social business? You'll never get any dividend out of it, but you'll invest money to build this thing. It will be beautiful social business. So I gave him calculations about that. He liked that. He said, okay, let's do that. So now we are working on a big project to rebuild the whole forestry as a social forestry, with producing income for people, at the same time putting the whole forest under green coverage. First 5% of the land and the 10% of the land and 50% of the land, gradually growing bigger and bigger. So in social business you can address small issues and big issues, but all issues can start very small. You can create a tiny little social business. And one, you see, everywhere is now, big issue is employment. Whole Europe is struggling with unemployment. I said, what kind of issue are you talking about? Why people are unemployed? Have you ever asked this question? They're always running to create employment. Why people are unemployed? And I give the same example as the poor people. I said, is the young person in Spain who is unemployed, is it the fault of this young man or a young woman? 50% of the young people in Spain are without jobs. 50%, half of the young people. I said, is it the fault of the unemployed person? He is unemployed or she is unemployed because something is wrong with her. There's nothing wrong with the unemployed person. Then what's wrong? Of course the system is wrong, because it didn't create opportunities for everybody. I said, now system is putting all these young people, all the unemployed people in some kind of economic trash. You throw into trash. System is trashing people. I said, shouldn't you reverse this? The people should be trashing the system, which cannot provide me the opportunity to use my own talent. I'm a creative person. I have all the talents. I have gone to the university. I have gone all the learning, but I'm unemployed. Who decided this punishment on me? Shouldn't we ask for that guy who decided this punishment on me? Because I have one life to live. You can keep it a percentage and say, well, 10% here, 5% there, but it is me. Why should I be unemployed? I'm as creative as anybody in the world. But we don't ask that question. We're always we sing the glory of the system. We don't blame the system. I said, it's about time to redesign the whole system. And then if you redesign, all those financial crises, all those things will disappear. And we can design it. This is the point I want to make here. Because this is a beautiful university with a lot of talented people. How do you do that? And then you are teaching the young people. Everywhere the university is the most exciting place. These young generation who are first coming into the university now, they are very different generation than when we were young at that age, when we come to this university. Quality-wise, there are 100 times difference between what we were, what they are. Are they smarter than we are? No, they're not smarter than we are. They're just like as human as anybody else. But they have the technology in their hand. We never had the technology. You remember, we used to something called pen pals in those days? Probably you don't remember anymore. You used to write letters in long hands and stuff the letter in an envelope and stick the stamp on top of it and look for the post box and put into the post box and wait for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months to get the reply. That's our speed. Imagine the speed of these young people. The younger you are, smarter you are. Younger you are, speedier you are. And that young people are bubbling with capacity, bubbling with creative energy. But we are trying to bring our old ideas onto them. That's a shame. We should help them to think completely new. I always encourage the young people to, in imagination, design a world that they would like to create. Just let your imagination go wild. This is the kind of world that I would like to build. I said it is essential that you do the imagination. Because if you imagine, it will happen. If you don't imagine, it will never happen. I know in science, there is something called science fiction. When people could not even fly, in science fiction, they were flying. Story. Once people could not go to the moon, in science fiction, they created all kinds of strange devices to go to the moon and discover what the moon. It's all done. Then we created movies, Star Trek and all those, go beyond galaxy after galaxy and so on. This is science fiction. Science always follows science fiction. What was impossible yesterday become possible today because we imagined it. And we have come to a time when the distance between impossible and possible is shrinking. It's shrinking because of the imagination, because of the technology at our hand. So if we challenge these young people, design a system where nobody in the world will be a poor person. They will come up with that as an imagination. If we can write science fiction, why can't we write social fictions? So that we can follow that social fiction and make that world happen. So I am encouraging all the young people to write social fiction, so that your imagination can go up. So imagination is the one thing which will be encouraging. That's what the purpose of the education, that's the purpose of our life, so that we know this is our imagination, this is what we're going to do. And if we do that, we'll create a world, nobody will be a poor person. Will be a world, nobody will be an unemployed person. There's no reason why should they be unemployed in this world. So that world we can create. And list all the things that you don't want in that world. And then make it happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Yunus, for this very inspiring speech. So before we go to the Q&A,
okay.
His Excellency Director, Dr. Khalid Sultan, I think he has a meeting that he needs to go to, but he would like to comment before. Please give the...
On behalf of university faculty, staff, and students, would like to thank you very much for accepting our invitation and for this energizing lecture. Personally, I had a meeting, important meeting at 6:15. I couldn't leave the seat, so thank you very much for this. And I can tell you that there's a potential at this place, and inshallah ta'ala, in your next visit to KFUPM or to Saudi, you will find some of your words, inshallah ta'ala, find the way to implementation. And let me tell you that at KFUPM, we do value innovative ideas. And although by all scale we're small, we're making greatest impact in Saudi and in the region. So that was in science and technology. But today you're telling us, don't limit yourself to science and technology. Inspire to do something on the society. We're doing something in society, but now we have to do something on the social side, on the humanitarian social side. Fortunately, it's coming at a time where KFUPM is emphasizing that. We are establishing a college for general studies. We are hiring sociologists, psychologists, and anthropologists just to make sure that we widen the interest of our students and to make sure that they use and their experience not only to solve technological problems but also chip in solving social problems. So you're coming at the right time, and I hope inshallah ta'ala you'll find the results next time. Thank you very much, and please forgive me, I have to leave for another meeting. Thank you very much. We appreciate your visit to KFUPM and to the Kingdom. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope you will create a social business center so that young people can come and design social businesses in labs so that some people can pick it up and make it happen.
Excellent. We take that. Thank you. شكرا جزيلا على مشاركتنا وتمسوا على خير جميعا. شكرا.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we have some time to entertain some questions, but before we get into the questions, Professor Yunus, there are three things that you mentioned today. Since we are actually sharing, Professor Yunus is sharing with us his story and you know, his impact in the not in his own community but worldwide. We spoke about three things today that I would like to remind you of. The first thing is your story. How did you get the Nobel Prize?
Okay.
I'm sure people would like to know. The second one is we always tend to think in technology and innovative solutions that we always import ideas from the West to utilize or maybe make use of in the West. But in your case, I think you were able to export your idea to the West, and you could tell us about the story of the Grameen Bank, that you were able to export that to the United States. The third question, you spoke today about the youth and about the sweetness of giving.
Yeah.
And it's not about making profit that makes you happy, but it's about giving to people is the real happiness. So could you please shed some light on that? And then we'll go back to you and
Thank you.
get some questions.
I'll be brief on each one of them. About the Nobel Peace Prize, this was being speculated. I was explaining to him. He asked me, how did the news came to you? I said, it's been the speculation in Bangladesh and outside of Bangladesh that you are going to get the Nobel Prize. People were debating whether it would be a peace prize, whether it would be economics prize. That was the debate, not whether you are getting it or not. And it's going on for 15, 16 years. But it never happened. So, and even the newspapers were speculating, this year Dr. Yunus is going to get the Nobel Peace Prize or Nobel Economics Prize. But gradually people got fed up. And the papers are not speculating anymore. They were given up that this is not going to happen. Suddenly in 2006, I had no idea. I was not worrying about it. Nobody is worrying about it. It's not in a speculation. So I was doing an interview. Somebody was interviewing me from Delhi in India for Newsweek magazine. They selected me as one of their top this or that. So they're interviewing me. And a phone call comes. It's ringing, ringing. And since I'm on the other phone, I'm not bothering, and there's nobody in the house. It's a Friday, it's a weekend. It stops, it starts again. I didn't pick it up. It stops, it starts again. So finally I pick it up. So there was something pressing. Yes, he said, the guy says, I'm calling you from Oslo, and I'm from the television station. Did you know that today Nobel Peace Prize will be announced? I said, I don't know. No, today is the day which will be announced. And there's a speculation in the press in Norway today that you are one of the possible recipients this year. I said, I've been hearing it for many years, don't tell me that. I said, you forget about it. So no, it's serious. There are 3 candidates, and you are one of them, and most probably one of them will be picked up. It's in the air today. I said, okay, that's up to you. I'm in an interview, let me go back to my interview. He said, can you keep this phone open so that I can call you back? I said, okay, I will not receive any other call here. Then 5 minutes later, call comes back. So I tell the person who is in the interview, said, can I call you back some 5 minutes later so that I can take this call? He said, okay, I'll call you 5 minutes back. So I go back to this call. He said, now the announcement will be made. I'm in the hall where the announcement will be made. So the chairman and the committee is entering the room. Soon it will be announced. Can you be on the line so that you can hear what they're saying? I said, why are you so much interested? He said, my interest is I want to be the first one to interview you. I said, you are an ambitious man. I don't think you'll get it because somebody else will get it, so you'll probably chase other candidates. He said, no, I want to chase you. I said, okay, take your chance. Then he said, hey, he's coming to the microphone, announcement will begin. I'm connecting you to the announcement so that you can hear directly. So I hear it's a Norwegian language. I don't understand a word. And suddenly, in this Norwegian language, I hear Professor Muhammad Yunus and Grameen Bank. I said, what? I thought they are talking about the short list.